I started using. Hi, Stephen Box here, 2nd of February today, and we're just going to head to the gym. So we've just been doing a bit of work in the office. We've got Jacob in the corner there doing his Kai Green impression, and then Dan, who is currently sick right now. What's up with you, Dan?
I've got a cough.
I heard you trolled me. Obviously I don't listen to your podcast, but I heard that you and Tom were trolling me about being fat.
No, I don't remember that.
So we're heading to the gym, and I'm just going to grab my new training program. We're going to Watson as per usual, so we're going to film some content over there. And I'm also going to go over why it's so important to have a good training program, how to track your training, how to make progress, and go over some of this.
Sorry.
Literally, he's just trolling my video with his coughs here. Yeah, and basically what it means to gain muscle, and what the science says behind that. See you in the gym. Very nice day. So it's 12:30. I do like to train at this time, I'm not gonna lie. I find that training in the morning, I feel dreadful. Training in the evening, and I train well, but I just find it really hard to get there, you know, with motivation, because after a long day looking at a computer and sat down all day at my desk, I find it difficult to, I just feel a bit tight, a bit, you know, like drawn out. I had a long day, a lot on my mind, but training at midday, smash some workout in the morning, tick all my boxes off, go to the gym, and then carry on in the afternoon into the late evening. That is what I prefer the most, but I appreciate it is a luxury of my job. If you are like me, and in the morning when because there are some days on a Monday and Tuesday when the Team Box guys are in the office, and we get Mike and Chris travel down from a long old way to come to the office. They get there for about 10 o'clock, so it is my only chance to train is in the morning. And me and Dan training, we just really have to manipulate our training program so that we're able to function well and not get injured and actually do something, because the difference can be massive. Like in the morning I'll try and deadlift and I might get up 140 for reps, that's kilos. It just feels heavy and just awful. But then in the evening I'll go and rep out on, you know, 180 or 200, and it feels equally as hard, but in a bit of a different way. So yeah, big difference between training times. But if you can only train in the morning, then that's all you can do, and you're better off doing that than doing nothing. So today I'm going to be doing an example day on one of our training programs, upper body day. It's going to have a mix of chest, shoulders, back, triceps, biceps, and I'm going to be going over why it's a really good body part split, what the science says behind it, and also it's enjoyable. And that is the most important thing, because if you're not enjoying your workouts, then why the fuck are you even doing them? In my opinion anyway. It doesn't matter how optimized something is or how optimal it is. If you don't enjoy it and you're not going there with any intent, then literally you're just spinning your wheels and it's not going to last very long. So do something you enjoy, even if that means making slightly slower progress. At least you're making some. Yes. So I've got the 4-day muscle plan, and we're just going to do session 1, upper day. Exercise 1, incline bench, 4 sets, 7 reps, and I want to be going to pretty much failure. So let's go. Right guys, I'm just going to take you through the upper body workout, and I'm going to take you through exactly why it's been put together and the purpose of the program. So we start off with some incline pressing. Now the biggest cue with this exercise is to make sure that we isolate the chest, and that does most of the work. Big key is keep your scapula or the back of your shoulders down, push it into the pad as you press away. This is one way that you can make sure that you're keeping the chest isolated, and that can do the work for you. There is going to be a crossover into the triceps and the delts, and that's completely fine, as this is a compound exercise. A good way to go heavy, and you're starting off with just 4 sets of 7. Then we start to look at stretching out the upper pec with the incline cable flies. On this exercise, what you want to make sure is that you're keeping your lower back into the pad, keeping your shoulders down. Don't allow the scapula to change its position, and just focus on squeezing the chest together at the start and really slowing down the eccentric, feeling it across the chest as you get that nice stretch. Moving on to the barbell shoulder press. Now you can do this standing or seated. I quite like doing this from a seated position just because, again, I can keep myself in a nice stable upright position, keep my back into the pad, and it makes that movement nice and strict. Now what I'm trying to do here is really slow down the eccentric portion of this exercise and really drive that bar away from me. Then we move on to the back. So we've trained chest, we've trained shoulders, now we're on to back, and this is the lat pull down. So many people get this exercise wrong, so I'm going to show you exactly how you need to perform this. Stick your legs right into that pad, focus on bringing the shoulders down, which we call depression. Pull your lats together through the back of your scapula or the bottom of your shoulder blades, and then just focus on rowing your elbows right into your waist. That way you can get maximum lat recruitment. Then we're on to the dumbbell row, another great exercise for the traps and the rhomboids. Again, with this exercise, make sure you've got a nice stable base, bring your shoulder down, and really focus on letting the lat and the traps do the work, so your elbow should be coming wide around into your butt, and yeah, just making sure it's a nice fluid motion without using too much bicep, because we're straight on the bicep curls. So with the bicep curl, you can do these standing, seated. I quite like the seated position just because it helps me keep nice and strict. So at the bottom, what you want to see is a nice straight arm, tense the tricep, gather as much tension on the bicep as possible, and then just squeeze the bicep through that full range of motion. Finally, we're on to tricep extensions. And again, keep your bum and your shoulders back in line with the cable stack, elbows down, feel that stretch at the top and really squeeze through. Now there are a couple of AMRAPs in cluster sets that if you do download the program, which you can actually get on our website, which I'm going to put a link to at the bottom, then there are more videos explaining how to do cluster sets and AMRAP sets just to make sure that you're training to failure. So this is my weekly progress. And now, as you can see, I'm a little bit leaner than the last time I did these, and I'm just going through the mandatory poses. So you saw the front pose, side pose, and now this is the back relaxed pose. So I'm focused on bringing my lats as wide as I possibly can. It was a long time since I've done any posing, and I tell you what, it was much harder than expected. Then what I'm going to go through, I'm going to go on to my side pose, front lat spread, front double bicep, rear double bicep, and also rear lat spread. And yeah, these I'm certainly going to have to go away and spend a little bit more time working these, because it just takes so much time to perfect these and get these right. So that was just the clip of one of our training programs that we've got on the website. So if you want to check it out and download it, you're more than welcome. You just head over to the shop and find the great picture of a meal, Ultimate Gains, and that is our 4-day training program. So it's split into an upper day, lower day, upper day, lower day. So it means you're training all muscle groups twice a week, which is pretty much the optimal amount of times to train a muscle group. So it's been carefully constructed. There's drop sets, AMRAPs, you know, a guide on how to train to failure, when, periodizing it with deloads and all that kind of stuff. So it also includes a full 12-week training diary for you to log your progress and make sure your numbers are going up. And you know, it's suitable for anyone that wants to, yeah, literally train 4 days a week. There's another program on there for 5 days a week or whatever. So check it out, and if you've got any questions, obviously you can comment on this, because this was just an example of one of the days of that training program. So I thought I'd give you a bit of a rundown how my prep is going. I'm week 1 in, and on average this week I'm down 0.6 of a kilo. So I'm really happy with that, with how progress is going. So I'm down in weight. Diet's been pretty easy in terms of how much I've been eating. So I'm roughly having, let's just bring it up a second. Now I've been sort of moving my carbs and my fats around. I've just been focusing on getting a good amount of protein in each day, and then making sure I'm under my calories. So target calories is 3,000. Yesterday I hit 2008, day before that 2008, pretty much saying before. So between 2,800, 2,900 is what I've been consistently hitting. And then about 200 grams of protein on average. So some days 190, some days 210. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. Fiber intake's good. Yeah, I'm just kind of feeling good as well. Like they're including a lot more vegetables into my diet to bulk out some of my meals. But yeah, hunger, haven't really noticed it. Energy levels are good, training's good, so can't really complain, and I'm not doing any cardio at the moment. So down 0.6, which is exactly what I need to be doing at this stage. So week one's gone well. So am I going to change anything this week? Absolutely not. I'm looking leaner, I'm seeing progress on the scales, and I'm feeling great. So there is absolutely no need. I'm in no rush, and yeah, ultimately I want to maintain as much muscle mass as I possibly can. So I want to diet on as many calories as I possibly can as well, and just let time take its course. And I just need to remember to trust the process, as I've got a long time ahead of me. So again, if you've got any questions on prep, calories, macros, what they are, how you change them, whatever, comment below and I will get to those questions. So last week I put out a few posts on my Instagram and on Facebook about if you had any questions about muscle gain. So I've had a few in, and I thought I would pick some of the most popular ones, go through those systematically and give you a good rundown. So the first question that I want to cover is, can you gain muscle in a calorie deficit? Now, it's one of those things that you often hear people say, right, you've either got to be in a calorie surplus or in a calorie deficit, and you can't gain muscle in a calorie deficit, and you can only gain muscle in a calorie surplus. So the differences between the two are, we have maintenance in the middle. Maintenance is where you're eating just enough calories to match how much you're expending, and therefore your body weight and your body stays the same, okay? When we push calories up higher, we have this sort of buffer, which we call a surplus of extra energy, and that can either be stored within the muscle cells or as fat mass. Now, this is typically the best environment to gain more muscle, because you need energy in order to build muscle. Then it begs the question, can you still build muscle whilst in a calorie deficit? And a calorie deficit is where we take away food or we increase our activity. And basically what that leads to is fat loss, because what your body's having to do is source energy from your body, whether it's from muscle glycogen or from fat mass. You can't choose where it comes from. It's just going to happen over the course of the day. How much you lose is going to be dictated by the amount of calories that you've dropped. So is it possible to gain muscle and have this like utopia or unicorn where you can gain muscle and also drop body fat? And yes, you can. The science suggests that you can do it. There was a recent paper that came out, and they took trained guys that knew how to train well, and they put them in a calorie deficit, gave them enough protein, and they did see muscle gain throughout that process. So you can do it. And there's a few things that you need to make sure that is happening. One of those is that you're having enough protein. And I would suggest having more than 2.2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. So if you're a 70 kilo guy, you times that by 2.2, which gives us 140, and then another 140 on top of that. This maths I can't write to you right now. I'm gonna need a calculator. Edit. Stick to Excel, bro. So, for example, if you are 70 kilos and we want to have about 2.2 grams per kilo of body weight, that's about 154 grams of protein per day. Because what you do is you take 70, you times it by 2.2, and that gives you 154. Now, if you like a bit more protein, you could go up to somewhere 2.8, and that gives you 196 grams per day of protein. That is going to be enough protein so that you gain muscle. The other thing that you need to do is train consistently in the weights room. So you're looking at 3 to 5 days a week, probably supplementing with creatine, and also splitting this protein amount over the course of the day as equally as possible. So what I would try and do is have a minimum of 3 meals a day and potentially maximum of 6. So you're going to take this number, decide how many meals you want to have, and take this number and then divide it by how many meals you think you want. That will give you protein per meal, and roughly, in order to what we call spike muscle protein synthesis, you want to be having about 0.4 grams of protein of your body weight in each meal, okay? From a good protein or leucine rich source, so like chicken, dairy, eggs, fish, beef. They're all great sources of protein. So again, if you're 70 kilos, anywhere between 30 to 40 grams of protein in each meal, and you're going to be good to go. So do that, combine that with some weight training, make sure you're in a small calorie deficit, and yeah, you can probably gain some muscle. There will come a point where the calories will drop too low, training intensity will drop, and you'll be lucky just to maintain it. If you're too aggressive with your calories, then you might start tucking into some muscle reserves. But muscle loss is, or potentially can happen. So it all depends on the severity of that calorie deficit that you're in. Put me under pressure with the fucking countdown. I'm not really bad at it. Oh, it feels.
Oh, he's on steroids.
I started using. Imagine that video.
Thumbnail.
Next question is, what are the best supplements or testosterone boosters? In short, there are none. There's no supplements on the market that are legal anyway that are going to do you any better apart from just waste money. And I have wasted money on them. I think I've tried a few different types, and the research and the science doesn't back them up to take you to a point where you're going to be any more optimal or anabolic than you normally would be. So don't worry about trying to boost your testosterone. Just roll with what you've got. Everyone has a set point in between their natural range, and if that's what you've been given, you can still work with it. You can still gain muscle being on the lower end, you can gain muscle being on the higher end, and it's really not going to make too much of a difference. And certainly looking at what supplements you take really isn't the right way to go. What we want to be thinking about is, how much protein you're taking, how often you're eating protein, the serving sizes of protein, the types of protein you're eating. They're the things that add muscle on over time, not fancy supplements. So next question is, what are the best exercises for muscle gain? And again, I don't know why we seem to think that the bench press, the deadlift, like the king of all lifts, are the best. Well, not necessarily. The bench press, the squat, the deadlift are extremely hard exercises to learn to do correctly. They take a lot of practice. And again, there's a big difference between just moving a weight from A to B versus actually recruiting the muscle you want to train. Now, in order to develop and build muscle, what we need to do is start to break it down. And in order to break it down first, it will then grow and repair as it recovers, and essentially get bigger. It's what we call muscle hypertrophy. So to do that, what we need to make sure is that we've got a really good program designed to hit all of our muscle groups that we want to change. We want to hit it frequently, and we want to make sure we hit it through, different angles so that we can really train the full range of that muscle. We want to make sure that there is tension on that muscle, that it activates, that it does the work, because your body is going to try and move that weight from A to B as efficiently as possible. It doesn't care about growing. It actually wants to work against you. It doesn't want hard work. It doesn't want resistance. It doesn't want tension. So you need to then really perfect your form, perfect your mind-muscle connection so that you can actually activate those muscles that you want to see change. So really perfecting your form is much better. Now, in terms of exercise selection, it really doesn't matter. You want to focus on doing the exercises that you perform well, that you feel it in the muscle that you're trying to train, that you can do time and time again, that with a full range of motion, without any injury, without any pain, and the exercises that you can do most frequently. Thanks to those that sent in a question for the video. I'm sure we'll be doing, in fact, we will be doing another Q&A in a couple of weeks' time. There'll be a different topic, so stay tuned on these videos. Follow me on Instagram, and that way you can get your questions answered. I make sure I get back to anyone and everyone that, you know, comments on one of my posts. I'm always putting out daily infographics. So some of those tips you'll find in there, and they're a great place to start asking questions, and then it gives me really good content to cover in these videos. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. I'd really appreciate your support. And I want this to be a community where, you know, we can chat, share ideas, discuss things, and ultimately learn from each other, because that's the best way to, you know, I learn every single day. I learn off the people around me. I learn off the community. I learn off people like you. And, you know, I want to be able to share, you know, my knowledge that I've learned over the years of coaching people, prepping to different competitions that I've done, and, you know, now going into my next one. I think this is something like my 12th show I'm going to be going into. So yeah, I'm excited for it, but yeah, I want to know what you want to know so I can help you more. So if you do have a question or a topic, please post below. So that's week 1 of dieting done on prep. Week 2 coming up. Let's see if I can do the same again, same progress, and I'm not sure what next week's got in store, but I'm sure I'll share it with you. See you later.